Greetings and welcome, viewers. I am your host and storyteller, Sylvanov. Thank you for joining us while we delve into the world of darkness with Vampire the Masquerade. This stream is intended for a mature audience and does contain mature themes that may not be suitable for all viewers. This game revolves around a dark horror theme and contains content that may be an emotional trigger for some audience members. Please keep in mind that this is a work of fiction. The views and actions of the characters are not explicitly the views or actions of the actual players. At no time should any of the violence or horror portrayed in our game be attempted by anyone, at any time, for any reason. Please sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and join us on the shadowy path that is the world of darkness. And now, before we start, please meet and welcome our players for the evening.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Trevor Chapman. I go by Ratnef on almost all social media, and tonight I will be playing Archon Atripos.
Greetings and salutations. I am Ravinia, and I'm playing Dr. Janet Weiss. You can find me on social media under the Squishy Bear.
Damn it, Janet. I am Mitwad, and I will be playing Mr. Ezekiel White in all his glorious failure.
Hi, I'm Ashe Daniels, and I'll be playing Jacqueline Dearie.
Evening, my name is Michael Walsh. You can find me on the interwebs at Fentru1399, and I'll be playing your Fentru Archon Howitzer.
And again, I'm Sylvanov. I'll be your host and storyteller for the evening. We left the evening prior with the Archons showing up, dismissing the Major, and affecting their authority over what remains of the domain and its denizens. The coterie at large summoned and gathered together for what is surely to be an interesting event the following night. Prior to the arrival of everyone at the Marrakesh farm, the Archons, both Howitzer and Atripos, were asked by their fellow Archon Damien for some special dispensations, some favors from the Ivory Tower in regards to certain individuals in question. The human, Jacqueline Dearie, who is pronounced to be touched in some way, given the opportunity to confront her once prophet, Mr. Ezekiel White. Dr. Weiss as well, given the opportunity in the dispensation of time to as well confront Mr. White before the Archons pass judgment over the entire domain. Archon Damien went to some great lengths to recreate the now torched office of Dr. Weiss in some nearby building. We join our scene with the Archons ushering in Mr. Ezekiel White, who is rather bound in a very medieval type way, wearing a pair of steel gauntlets from elbow to fingertip in the shape of mitts, with an iron bar between each, holding him fast behind his back. As they bring him in and seat him down, they are quickly ushered in two persons who know each other quite well, or at least they thought they did. Dr. Janet Weiss and Jacqueline Dearie. As we enter, Zeke, you will notice the two of them have stern, if not off-putting, looks upon their faces. The Archons as well, languidly lounging around the makeshift office, looking at this and that, perusing lines of books that have been at least recovered from the once burnt office. Dr. Weiss and Jacqueline, as you enter, there's still a hint of burn in the air. And I'm sure, Dr. Weiss, you realize that a lot of your belongings have been recovered. if not blackened and stained. For some unknown reason, they have been brought here and reassembled in some way. Jacqueline, the familiar look of the office brings back a sudden rush of drastic memories that were forced upon you at no less the hands of Dr. Weiss, if not Ezekiel himself. And with that, I will turn the scene over to our players.
Good evening, ladies. How are we tonight?
Is that really him?
Yes, I assure you that is the dreadful Mr. White.
It's all right, and good evening, ladies.
Good evening. It's strange. I can smell the burn. And Jax, that is him. I'd
How-
recognize him anywhere.
How did you find him?
Oh, we have our ways.
I thought I wasn't going to see him again, ever. And now he's here in front of me.
You don't have anything to worry about when it comes to him, child.
He's very dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. All of us are. Forgive my manners. I am Reginald Howitzer, Archon of the Ivory Tower, and this is my associate, Atripos, also Archon of the Ivory Tower.
Hello. I'm Jacqueline. I prefer to go by Jax.
Pleasure to meet you. And he would extend out a hand to you, of course.
I flinch suddenly, and realizing it's your hand, I reach out and shake it very timidly.
You would hear the chains rattle against his restraints.
Now, Mr. White. We did have a very long conversation about this, did we not? You really do not want to anger my cohort here.
Mr. White, I promise you that if you behave yourself to our expectations, I will give you a boon tomorrow.
He
I
will
have-
stiffen.
I have such mixed feelings seeing him this way, because I've known him for so long as this great man who we should love and appreciate. And here he is now chained. Like,
An armoire?
yeah.
He can't hurt you right now, Jax.
Are you sure?
As Dr. Weiss speaks and you finally look up at her to make eye contact, she seems a little different than you remember her. Maybe a little colder, maybe a little detached, not as warm or welcoming.
Ah, the good doctor I've heard so much about. And he would take a couple of steps over and extend a hand to her. Reginald Howitzer.
And she would take his hand rather easily. Dr. Janet Weiss.
Can I make a roll through you, storyteller? Just for a sensory check. It doesn't even have to be a discipline, just a awareness to try to see if anything stands out, if there's any blinking motions, if I could see her chest rising and falling, any standout
As it appears,
things.
her skin seems flush. Her hand is warm to the touch. She appears to be breathing, as one might expect of a kind.
pleasure.
I'm confused.
About what, child?
Are you all... You seem somewhat familiar with each other.
We've heard a lot of things about a lot of individuals. Myself and Tropos are normally sent. Some people would call us problem solvers. Some would call us the cleaning crew. Others would say the broom and the dustpan. Obviously, I'm the Louis Vuitton version of a broom. But we do tend to handle business when things go south. And as a predecessor to my family, informed individuals of a higher calling than all of us here, that they have deemed this city in need of a wash, as it were. And this is part of our final touches before, as Antropos likes to refer to as the grand finale.
Spectacle, yes.
Spectacle. Forgive me.
And yeah, we're effectively efficiency experts is another way to put it, or a more parlant term, the two Bobs.
Dr. Weiss,
Yes, Jax.
what am I supposed to do?
We're here to solve some things. In a way, I desperately want to apologize to you. Those men dragged you out of here without proper protocol or reasoning in the middle of our session.
The flood of memories, the drastic rush of awareness floods into your mind as you recall the events of that day, the tea, the comfortable carpet, the releasing of memories you wish you never had. The thoughts.
Are you going to make me drink the tea again?
Oh, no.
Is this like another session?
In a way, it is. But you understand what I was trying to do, correct?
Yeah, I know you were trying to help me. And I appreciate that. I don't know who to trust anymore.
And this is why I'm here for you.
Are you really this time?
I was here for you the whole time. They made a mockery of my practice. They tried to use my techniques as a tool to twist and contort your mind.
The things that I saw and recalled, they all happened, didn't they?
They were
memories of the incident, watching the prophet bearing fang, moving from person to person in the temple, the church, his friends doing the same as people voluntarily slit their wrists, offering up their life's blood to the gods, as you recall him naming them. The horror of the event rushing through your mind, a tornado-like wind, the flashes of James Morrison, of Musa Daoud, taking you from the doctor's care, rushing you back to the cells, interrogating you relentlessly.
I'm not going to go back, am I?
No, never.
Are they going to take me too?
If anyone takes you, it'll be to a safe place this time.
Nobody will be taking you to anywhere. We've spoken to Mr. Farce, and he's asked us to perform a couple of favors, as it were.
Jacqueline,
He
that
speaks
name
highly
means
of you.
nothing to you.
He's someone that we hold great regard of, and he speaks highly of you, Jacqueline.
Absolutely.
To the point that he's asked us to ensure your overall safety, and we will do that.
You'll hear the chains relax as Atripos says that.
Now, before we go any further, would you like me to take the muzzle off so that he can actually speak with you? Or is this completely you're speaking to him? I really don't care. I just want to know.
You can take the muzzle off.
Oh, goody.
And
Jax.
Tropos walks over to Mr. White, removing the hood, showing his face, the consternation, maybe even a bit of fear, a little understanding in his face,
Guilt,
stains
regret.
of blood at either ends of his eyes as he removes the medieval device from his head, turning a few screws, pulling it from him.
Now, remember what we spoke of, Mr. White. We are in another person's residence, as it were, and hospitality goes both ways. You shall maintain composure at all times.
As you wish, Archon.
My body is trembling, trying to have my arms crossed over my chest, trying to calm myself and collect myself as I look at him, Ezekiel, in his current state. And I then look down at the dress that I'm wearing, and I look back at him, and I say, does this look familiar?
Of course, my dear. I'm sorry, Miss Dearie. It does. It suits you like the finest silk.
My mom had picked out something very similar to this that day. She dressed me. She took care of me and made sure I looked my best for you. Do you remember that day?
He doesn't answer right away, instead giving a look toward Archon Howitzer.
You were
Permission
asked the
to speak
question.
mine? I remember that day far too well. That.
Do you remember how important that day was to me? What it was supposed to mean for us?
Yes, and sullied hands ruined what belonged to you.
I see a bit of an issue here. You said someone ruined it.
I ruined it, Dr. Weiss.
Why? Why did you let those people in and let them do what they did? I had to watch my mother get torn apart. Do you know what that was like? Have you ever watched a loved one get torn to pieces?
more than once.
Zeke, the beast in the back of your mind, sneers and grins with a hungry chuckle.
My own mother, who worshipped you, worshipped the ground you walked on, would follow you to the ends of the world. She's gone. You were her everything. She was my everything. And you took her away from me. Her blood was on my body, on my face. I can still picture it every time I close my eyes. I have nightmares of it every night. Do you know what you did?
I'm guilty. It's... No.
Tell her the
No.
fear tasted good. Tell her the truth. Tell her you enjoyed it. Tell her we enjoyed it and we'd do it again.
No. And you can see him kind of rocking back and forth as he kind of taps his chained arms against the back of the chair almost rhythmically.
Tell me why. Why did you let it happen?
You want the truth?
Speak the truth, Ezekiel.
Yes,
Tell her
Doctor.
it was her purpose in life to feed us. Be honest for the first time.
That night, that night my friends and I, or as you may have known them, the gods, had requested to see everyone. We had planned on the ceremony as usual. However, there were some complications. A unforeseen submerged directive or hidden agenda, I do not know, honestly, caused the frenzy that you witnessed by Miss Stone's hands. However, my orders were to her to bring you children away from what was to come next.
And why did you bring those people in the first place? We were happy before they came. Everything was fine before you brought them there.
I had my orders to be with them.
Orders? Who orders you? Our great prophet.
One of the sleepers.
I feel like you've had so many secrets. I thought we were supposed to be open with each other. I thought secrets were forbidden. But you, of all people, had them the most. Did you not trust us?
I didn't trust them.
Don't you think if we would have known what they wanted, things could have been different?
Considering whom is in the city right now, no.
Zeke,
They corrupted the city from within.
as you speak, you hear a voice that couldn't possibly be heard. Something peeking in from the web that only you and a few others like you know even exists. It's the voice of Dr. Weiss. Liar. You know exactly what happened. Jax was raised like a pig to slaughter. You were just people, not gods, just monsters.
Yes, monsters. Yes. We are monsters.
You think this is funny? Why didn't you
big
save
joke.
my mom? Of
I
all the
tried.
people. You
I
tried?
tried. When this instinct bubbles forth, it's hard. It's hard to let it out, but it's even easier to let it out. When food is all on your mind, that's all you need.
Is
all
that
you
all we
want.
were to you?
No,
Food?
Yes, tell her the truth. They're cattle, every last one of them.
Did you ever love us?
of course. You know, those nights I would read to you were the best. To your sister as well. She's
And
still alive, you know.
she is?
Yes.
Where? What did you do with her?
She left on her own. On that day I died, 20 years ago.
And then there are memories that are flooding from childhood when he mentioned reading stories. And there are memories of playing on the playground with all the children, being pushed on the swing, of playing tag and chasing him around, and him picking us up and holding us close. It seems very warm, and I miss those days. They seemed really innocent, and now things seem so confused. I still don't understand what's happening.
Jax,
Yes.
he's not a god. He never was a god.
She's right, you
Jacqueline,
know.
me a wits and insight roll, please.
Dr. Weiss has kind of closed the distance between her and Jax.
Or would you like me to make that roll?
Yes.
As she names him not a god, your vision takes a change. Their room seems to mist, but for you alone. And as you glance from Dr. Weiss to Ezekiel and to the two others that you've not seen before this evening, monsters stand where they are, sit in the chair where she sits. Almost demon-like beings, all salivating, predatory looks on each and every one of them. For a
You're
moment,
not gods.
it seems
You're
to be
monsters.
the first true thing you've seen your entire life. As vision clears and they seem as they are in the moment.
You're monsters. All of you.
I don't deny this.
You tricked us. All of us. We believed in you. We put our lives in your hands. And you betrayed us.
I only told you what I was grown to believe. My words came from another. His mandates. May he rot in prison.
What about you, though?
I know I'm not a god. I never proclaimed to be a god. I've proclaimed to met God. However, in actuality, that was not so. It was an abuse of my mind, caused by my own insanity.
So you're saying you're sick.
Always have been. Something funny, Doc?
Not something funny, more ironic. Terminal, chronic sickness.
So it's true then. He is sick.
He is. But what he did before was worse. And what he did to you and your family was heinous. Behavior control, information control, thought control, emotional control. He did all this to control you and your family because it gave him power.
But it was because he was sick. And I stepped closer. And for a moment, there is sadness and even sympathy in my eyes for him.
Don't confuse. Don't let him get away with it, because a lot of it was his choice. And he's admitted to the fact that his choices were bad and that he is a bad, bad man. He may be sick, but first, he is bad.
Thank you, Archon.
And remember moments ago when you called all of us monsters? Do you recall anybody saying otherwise?
No.
Because you're absolutely right. So I wouldn't trust him as far as you could throw him across this room.
Actually, your first major lesson, Jacqueline, is that trust is not to be earned. Trust is only to be bought. I'll let you figure that one out.
I look back at Ezekiel, trying to process everything in my head, from him not being a god to now being a monster, but sick, but still not trustworthy. I'm so confused. I feel so lost. I feel alone.
He's going to lean forward ever so slightly. And as he does, the breast of his pocket opens just to see a very dark stained cloth hanging from the inside of the pocket.
What?
He speaks softly. This is my judgment. Their court, as he nods toward the Howitzer. Jury, to both herself and Dr. Weiss. And a sly smile toward the other Archon. An executioner.
So you are going to be punished for what you've done.
In the
Absolutely.
most ultimate way.
I won't be leaving here alive again.
How ironic.
Oh,
Jax,
Yes?
I wanted you to be here specifically so that you might be able to find some closure, some solace. The memories are real. He is a monster. And yes, he may be sick, but that does not keep him from paying for the crimes that he did to you, your family, and countless others. I myself have been hurt by this thing.
And you need to understand that he's only here by our generosity. Under any other circumstance, in any other time, in any other place, he would have just vanished and you'd never have closure. However, the tower is considering the idea that maybe closure is something that needs to happen so that lingering pain and envy and anger doesn't persist for on and on and on and on and on and on.
There's a cycle that happens with trauma and lack of closure, lack of validation, and it just breeds more issues and more chaos.
Yes, and we can't have chaos. No. We need order and structure and proper justice.
How ironic coming from you.
Oh, now.
As the three of them continue speaking, Jacqueline, again, your vision mists a bit. And as they talk of judgment, punishments, the way things are, the shadows around Ezekiel seem to move. They flow around him and begin to take form. As far as you are concerned, the shapes of small creatures start to gather around Ezekiel's feet. As far as you see, they appear to be tearing pieces of him away. First, 3 or 4, then the shadows from the rest of the room flow and gather around him. It seems as he's being swarmed almost like angry wasps, tearing pieces of him away and flying.
What's going on?
Yes.
Can I make a Nospex roll to see if I can find out either what's going on with him or what's going on with her?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
as you see her looking at Zeke, as the three of you converse, her face changes a bit as she seems to be looking at things that aren't there. As you cue in and begin to look, the hairs on the back of your neck prickle, stand, and feel almost electric as you think you can see what could otherwise be termed as wraiths. Dozens of them descending upon Ezekiel.
Oh, she is a special one. Archon, Damien was right.
What's so funny?
So, you know how he said that she was touched? Well, she is. She's special.
What are you talking about? You keep mentioning that. What do you mean?
Have purpose. You're useful.
The doctor is wise beyond her years, and she is still so youthful. That's actually part of the reason that we're here also. It's not only for the young Jacqueline to get some closure. I was personally interested in meeting you.
Really?
I've always had a fascination with mental health. I have a history of reading the good Dr. Netchurch's papers.
We might be able to have a chat. Maybe talk shop.
Oh, don't get it confused at all, madam. I am not a doctor in any way, shape, or form. But I am interested in it as a hobby.
Some people are. I understand, but we can at least discuss and maybe.
We can always have a drink.
Yeah.
However, let's keep this business.
Yes.
Or currently business casual. I can't step on my cohort's toes here too much.
Oh, come on.
But I can ask of you that you did refer to yourself earlier as being compared to a tool, did you not?
Of use.
I would like you to put it into a different perspective. You definitely are considered a tool, but much like certain other people that we've become acquainted with extremely recently, you are more a tool of precision, and you have very high potential when it comes to the ivory tower.
A scalpel, then.
No,
Yeah.
I've already designated somebody as the scalpel. I don't expect you to cut into anybody. You are more, how can I put it? A finer touch than a scalpel. The scalpel is precise. The scalpel is dissective. You're more of a caress than anything else.
I see what you mean.
Deft
While they're
hands
talking,
with the strings.
Anxiety is just building up because there's so much talk that I have no idea what's going on.
A lot of
I am
it
seeing
beyond
things
your
that
understanding.
that I've never seen before. I'm blinking a lot. I'm rubbing at my eyes, trying to just fix my vision. And at this point, I'm so overwhelmed. I want out. I take a step back and can someone please?
Yes. And she does come over and she kind of comforts you as best she can. She pulls a handkerchief from her pocket and hands it. If you need to wipe your eyes.
I take it and I dab a little bit at my eyes, and then the feel of the handkerchief is really familiar. It brings up another memory of my mom's ribbon, the blue ribbon. that she put in my hair that day. It's missing. I never got it back. I look at Ezekiel. The ribbon. Do you have my mom's ribbon?
His eyes trail to the breast pocket in his shirt.
His gaze does not leave that pocket.
Is that it there? In your pocket?
It's the only thing besides the good doctor's medication keeping me sane.
I go over and I take the ribbon.
You would take a couple of steps over. We said this was for closure.
Yes.
Again, remember what you stated earlier. We are monsters. And as such, even though I do feel the respect in this room, you should take full heed that even though this individual is chained up, he is still very, very volatile.
We bite.
The irony is very much aware. Archon,
I would reach in and pull it out.
thank you, Archon.
While this is going on, Dr. Weiss has stayed very close to Jax. And besides the handkerchief, she pulls something else out and hands it to Jax. I want you to focus.
What's this?
And it's a wooden stake.
On the one hand, you have Mr. Howitzer handing you the blood-soaked ribbon. And in the other, Dr. Weiss has produced a wooden stake. Which has not escaped the attention of the two Archons.
I take it you haven't suddenly taken up wood carving, good doctor, have you?
No. This was given to me for Ezekiel.
Jax, up from below. Don't go and try to go through the ribs. Go under the ribs. That's the best way to go. Just right up in there. It's good.
Wait.
To prove Atripos' point, he will straighten up, kind of giving her better access towards the rib cage as his medallion bounces off of his chest. Go on.
Even still wear that around your neck too? After everything?
We are family. And family takes care of its own, does it not?
You certainly did take care of them, Ezekiel. That's rich coming from you.
And with all my strength, I slap him across the face. Family.
Harder.
Family. You. You
Harder.
were supposed to protect us. And you failed. And I cover my face because I just realized I slapped the prophet. I laid hands on this person again who meant so much to me in my life, who I was taught to love and appreciate, and I just slapped him.
Excellent progress, Jax.
Yes.
By the way, Jax, there's a lovely proverb that says, when you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha.
No gods or kings here. Jack.
No.
But Dr. Weiss does look over Ezekiel.
Yes, Doctor.
I need to tell you something.
Is it going to create a revelation? Exaltation?
She reaches down and kind of gently raises his chin up. Just a little.
He'll kind of tilt with her to compensate.
Frederick's not missing.
His eyes glaze over, desperately as he tries to scratch at the back of his neck.
And she basically grabs his head very firmly, holding it there as she looks into his eyes.
His eyes are currently milky white.
He's not missing.
Words are echoed in the web directed at you, Zeke. And it is Dr. Weiss's voice echoing in the web.
He sends his regards.
But he was underground.
And Lillian sends her regards as well. You know, some of us have standards. And she kind of pushes him back and takes a step back.
I've never seen Dr. Weiss be so physical like that. Are you okay, Dr. Weiss?
I'm sorry. Since this man has came into my life, some changes have gone on. And I've taken it rather personally. My own trauma, if you will.
I wouldn't expect anything less, madam.
So this is not just closure for you, Jax, but for me too.
How many people has he hurt?
Who really knows in all of his life?
It's also not a question of who he's directly hurt. It's also a question of all the people he's put into risk or jeopardy because of his actions and his choices and the consequences of those choices.
Exactly, Archon.
Zeke, as the accusations
1,174.
as the accusations flow, your eyes glaze over, rolling back behind your head as you begin a small seizure.
But
If he were
going on?
standing, he would collapse to the floor. But as he is somewhat restrained and seated, he just seems to go briefly limp.
What's happening?
Oh, don't worry, it'll pass.
He's fine.
And almost like instinctual of always helping him during trying times on the compound, I go over.
Child.
Jax, Dr. Weiss is going to pull her by the shoulder back. No.
But he
Pause.
needs help.
I blink in front of her. No. Leave him be.
Okay,
Sit
so
down.
something extraordinary. Many things happen at once. Archon
Pushes the
Howitzer
monitor on the
speaks
table.
up, cautioning you from approaching Zeke. Dr. Weiss issues her words, and from the corner of your eye, something impossible, absolutely impossible happens. The person that you've been told is named Anthropos is no longer where he was and is suddenly standing between you and Ezekiel. At the same moment, Zeke, as your vision clouds over, and you fall into a premonition. The blood moon rises over the Marrakesh farm, full moon, scarlet red. The clouds part as the faces of everyone you've ever known, everyone you've ever touched, harmed, led astray, seem to be all clawing at you, towards you, trying to take their piece, their pound of flesh. Those faces are replaced by those of your coterie. Tim Toon, blinking in and out, away and near you, tearing at your flesh. Everyone in turn, Annabelle, siphoning off your life fluids directly from your heart as if she had her own personal straw. Sam Smith, Virginia Stone, everyone taking a piece of Zeke, tearing at him, laughing. As a fire erupts behind you, a great bonfire, you see crosses spread in the field at the Marrakesh farm in a semicircular pattern, faces of people you know, the Prince, Walter Quince, Maurice, Ramona, yourself, and others, burning, flesh crisping, sloughing from the bone as the fires grow. And your vision returns.
Please, you have to let me help him. I remember this happening back then too, and he doesn't like being alone during times like this.
We did warn you that even though he's in a chair and trussed up, he's not to be trusted. We can't let you too close to him.
You are here to seek closure only, child. You are not here to help him any longer.
He is beyond any help you could provide.
Can you really not be saved? And I pressed the stake close to my heart, clenching it.
Do you really believe he deserves to be saved? He lied, cheated. He taught you what he wanted you to be. He turned you into a puppet. He effectively made you chattel.
That sounds like manipulation to me, if it ever was, and you're speaking to somebody who's a master of it.
Behavioral control, information control, thought control, emotional control. And
I was Big Brother.
I will step behind Ezekiel and hold his shoulders.
He really won't stop, will he?
No.
No.
It's my sickness.
And he admitted it. He's admitted to me and my associate as to his guilt and his complicity in everything he's done. So he will be justly punished. Yes?
You are also to punish the one in charge, are you not?
There are several that will be punished and that will be seen at the spectacle.
Might I suggest grouping the crosses a bit closer?
You may not. You do not heed what an Archon does. You do not heed how an Archon acts. You do not heed how an Archon dishes out the Ivory Tower's justice.
And remember, Mr. White, I did say that if you behaved yourself, I would give you a boon.
Yes, sir.
Ezekiel, do you remember one of the commandments you had taught us? Thou shalt consort with evil, its entities, and its prophets. The false shall be condemned to final rest. Do you remember those words?
But of course,
Dr. Weiss, for the first time, a voice trickles in the back of your mind, in the back of your hearing, almost as if your own voice finds this sardonically hysterical. There's a slight laughter, changes to almost a giggle as she's talking about Zeke, to a cackle.
Are we amused?
Very, very amused here. He does consort with evil. He does consort with monsters. In fact, he is a monster. And she looks at Jax and looks her in the eyes and takes her hand that's gripping the stake and squeezes it tight. Not tight to hurt, but tight to make sure it's secure.
You're preaching the false words of a false prophet to the false prophet. They are empty, they are hollow, and they're meaningless.
Like his chest.
Jax,
it's time.
strike hard, strike true.
Can I ask you all for one final favor?
What is it with individuals asking us for favors all of a sudden?
Well, it's okay. I fully expect it won't be the final one, but sure. What's the favor, my dear?
I know that you guys have been keeping me from touching him, but I ask, if I may, just one last time.
I'm holding him, and therefore I give you my assurity that you are safe.
Okay.
Dr. Weiss steps back. There's a lightness that basically kind of says, you are your own person. You make your own choices.
Jacqueline, this moment seems surreal, almost displacingly so, as if you're not even here, that you seem to be flowing through motions as if this was supposed to happen.
I step closer to him, locking eyes, and I brush aside some hair off his forehead, and I lightly let my fingers trace over his face, almost as though I was trying to memorize it for one last time. And then I embrace him into my arms, and I hug really, really tightly. And I whisper into his ear, I hate you. And with all my strength, I shove the stake through his chest. And the tears flow down my cheeks.
As she pulls back, you'll see a smile on his face. Genuine. Frozen.
And I back up quickly, hands up, shaking.
Make certain that he's in torpor, and I pat him on the head. Good boy. And then I just go sit back where I was.
Again, it seems
so-
surreal. There he is, imprisoned in a chair. The stain of blood on your hands. A spear of wood sticking out of his chest.
Blood
Two
tears coalescing down his face.
strong personalities looking on with indifference. Dr. Weiss, a strange smile or smirk. You're not sure which. She doesn't seem like her at all. Strangers and monsters, all of them. The moment broken by the voice of Archon Howitzer.
It looks like one of your pieces of art, or possibly a coat hanger.
Or actually both.
Hmm.
Gives me an idea.
Oh, I bet it does.
And just tears flowing down, shaking, trembling. The words, "I hate you," coming out of my mouth for the first time to a prophet, no, to a monster who rightfully deserved what he got. But the tears won't stop. It's almost like a release. Like I'm finally free from everything that happened. What did I just do?
Freed
You-
yourself.
You made the first step from love to hate to apathy. To hate him is to give him power because you still care. Eventually, you will have apathy and you won't care at all.
About him.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, there's like a wave of calm. The shaking eventually stops. I killed him. I killed a god.
Oh no, you didn't kill him, child. He can
And
hear
he won't-
everything you say right now.
He's not that dead.
No.
Monster.
But he is completely helpless.
Yes. Imprisoned in his own empty husk. Internally screaming eternal pain until somebody ends it for him in one fashion or another. However, he is fully aware of our conversation as you and I stand and speak.
But he won't hurt anyone ever again, right? He won't come after me.
No.
He will not move ever again.
Okay.
To make the Archon's point, if you stare back at him, you'll notice for the last few moments of speech, he has not blinked once. Not even a reflex.
Okay.
Face
It's
frozen
done.
with that grim smile. The blood-stained tears on his cheeks.
I look away because it's really hard to see his face like that.
We'll take a couple of steps over to Dr. Weiss. So, now that business is settled, on to the next piece of business. You.
What is there that you would like?
As we stated earlier, we did speak to Mr. Farce, and he asked certain provisions be provided. One of those that I am willing to give to yourself and this young lady is an option. You are seen, as we discussed earlier, a caressing tool to the ivory tower. I'm going to give you the option of continuing your practice in helping this young lady, or I can take care of her right now.
Jacqueline, the finality of his words do not miss you. The reality that he just insinuated he would kill you in this very moment is clear as any bell you've ever heard.
I'll take care of her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. She's been through a very traumatic experience. I myself have expertise with, let's say, not unlike my counterpart here, molding and sculpting memories, history. I can take away at least some of the traumatic experiences. But I'm not looking to step on any toes. It is merely an offer. And an offer that I don't plan on sticking around for, so it really is a one-time offer.
Oh, no, this is part of the therapy. Part of the treatment is going through catharsis and learning that those memories, they did happen and they won't hurt her anymore.
Oh, I completely understand, but it was an extremely traumatic experience. So I'm merely offering the assistance.
Jax,
Yes.
if you had a giant eraser, would you erase the pain that this man has done to you?
Would it erase the memories of my mother too?
No. I am quite precise myself. I would merely rewrite things that have happened. However, it's not something that would take place overnight. Myself and the good doctor here would have to have a conversation. But my offer stands.
But just think, without pain, you can't grow.
That is very true. Pain, struggle, suffering helps us move forward. Without those things, you wouldn't be the person you are today. You wouldn't have that feeling of killing a god. And Dr. Weiss is going to look over at Ezekiel, and there's a thought that enters Ezekiel's mind, much like the network works. You used me. You used my practice, my tools for your own games. Maybe your pause will help us all find some peace. Obviously, this wasn't said out loud, but it's just a look.
When Dr. Weiss mentioned the feeling of killing a god, I start to straighten up and I say, no, I want to keep my memories. I want this moment.
Very well.
Zeke, Dr. Weiss's words come in clear as can be through that medium that only yourself and other Malkavians can possibly touch. And while you may be staked, it does not stop your mind from working.
If a reply could be made, all that would be heard, yeah, yeah, I can English, is maniacal laughter. Truthful laughter. She's right. He let the monster rise. And let the father die.
Now wait, if I choose to keep my memories, will you kill me?
I'm not here to
Oh,
kill you, child. If I was here to kill you, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
well, you wouldn't even know it. You'd be dead before anything. Your body would hit the ground. Yeah. No. We remember how we told you that Mr. Farce had spoken highly of you and had asked that we look after you. I did say that we weren't going to hurt you and that we were actually going to look after you. So, yes, you're good, you're fine, you're safe, but just be careful what you tell people.
I wouldn't offer if it wasn't meant for good intentions.
So what now? I have nothing.
Oh, that's not true. You have a whole future to look forward to. You have a choice. You have a destiny.
And you have learned the value of choice and consequence. Not to mention that you have a special gift.
There you go
Endless
again with the gift.
possibility.
This gift, does it have something to do with Ezekiel? Is it because of him that I have this gift?
Probably not. I don't know. It would have to be checked out. But you are very special. The first thing that will prove to you that you're special is that you know we're monsters. And not, well, pretty much nobody else does on average.
And as he says that, again, your vision allows you to see the truth of these 5 persons. For a brief moment, they again look as the monsters they are. Human faces not to be found, but toothy, demonic, evil predators. All looking at you as if you were the hors d'oeuvre.
Dr. Rice, you've been one of them all this time.
No. Of course not.
So what are you?
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go, dear?
That's more of a philosophical question, isn't it?
I'm useful. That's what I am.
Oh, you're something, Doctor.
And it's all his fault.
You see, Jacqueline, the more questions we answer truthfully, the more convoluted your future becomes. So be careful what you ask, and we'll be careful what we answer.
I am overwhelmed. This has been a very long, I can't even say day. It feels like years, and I'm exhausted.
Good meal, a bubble bath, maybe a good book might do you some good.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a brief knock at the door. As it's opened, one of the many suited persons in service to the Archon, peers in momentarily. Lords, preparations are in order and have been prepared to your exacting list. It is time.
Excellent. Can you send someone in to grab the coat hanger? And I pointed at Ezekiel.
Of course. He turns, says something over his shoulder as another pair of suited persons walk in, unceremoniously hoist Mr. White from his chair and drag him out, leaving the four of you in the room.
So we have a spectacle to put together. Well, to finish, actually. You should have gotten your invitation, Dr. Weiss. You should know where we're going. What shall we do with our dear friend Jacqueline? Should she come watch, or should she go home and have a good sleep?
I would leave that up to her. She's a grown woman.
So back to the question. How far down the rabbit hole do you want to come?
This is like the first time that Jacqueline's like on her own now, completely on her own to make choices for herself. She's so used to everyone making choices for her or making choices for her family. I can really make this choice for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You can do anything that you wish.
And bear the consequences thereof.
After all this, I want to learn to become stronger. Can you guys help me with that?
Definition of strength to be determined.
I don't want to be taken advantage of again. I don't want this to happen to me again. Even if that might mean learning about things that are hard. So I'll go with you guys.
One last warning. Once you see what you see, you will never be able to unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
And you must be prepared for that.
After everything I've seen so far, what can possibly more be worse?
Challenge accepted.
And those memories, child, I will not be taking away.
Jacqueline,
Okay.
the myriad
Deal.
of shadows that you saw plucking at Ezekiel seem to be crawling along the floor towards you. As they get nearer and nearer, they simply merge into your shadow as it's cast by the dim light onto the floor. There seems to be a strange weight within your shadow at this point, as you've made a definitive choice in your life, the first one of your entire life that was of your own. And with that, we will end our scene. Thank you, viewers, for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed our moment, and we look forward to seeing you when we rejoin our coterie and our guests for the finale of season 1. We look forward to seeing you all. Have a great evening.
Hello, I'm Nick Weird. You may know me as Chops. I'm here to remind you that your mental health is a very important thing. We all have problems, and sometimes it can be hard to share them because we don't want to burden other people, or we're too afraid or ashamed of the things we've done to even try. But your friends and family are here for a reason. They'd much rather hear about what's happening in your life than ever hear that something terrible has happened to you. And if you feel like you can't talk to your friends or family, there's resources available for that too. Please, reach out to them. There's no need to go through this alone. We all need help sometimes, and there's no reason to feel ashamed or feel afraid to ask for it, especially if you need it right now.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, whether they are considering suicide or not, please call the toll-free lifeline at 800-273-TALK. Again, that is 800-273-8255 to speak with a trained crisis counselor 24/7. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline connects you with a crisis center in the Lifeline network that is closest to your location. Your call will be answered by a trained crisis worker who will listen empathetically and without judgment. The crisis worker will work to ensure that you feel safe and identify options and information about mental health services in your area. Your call is confidential and free. Unable or unsure about calling? Text NAMI, that is N-A-M-I, to 741-741 to connect with a trained crisis counselor to receive free 24/7 crisis support via text message. Again, text NAMI to 741-741. You are not alone. Trained expert advocates are available 24/7 to provide confidential support to anyone experiencing domestic violence or seeking resources and information. Help is available in Spanish and other languages. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE. Again, that is 800-799-7233. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-HOPE. Again, that number is 800-656-4673. To connect with a trained staff member from a sexual assault service provider in your area that offers access to a range of free services. Disaster Distress Helpline. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746. The Disaster Distress Helpline provides immediate crisis counseling for people who are experiencing emotional distress related to any natural or human-caused disaster. The helpline is free, multilingual, confidential, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746. Again, the number is 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746.